Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Hour of Power, the Hour of Truth and Consequences, the most impactful hour of your Philadelphia Sports Week, the Talking Philly Sports with MattyB program here on the Edge of Philly Sports with your boy MattyB on the call, and I'm back. It's right. Kind of just fell off there last week due to the holiday and kind of jumped on the Fightins final with Al there on Memorial Day to kind of fill that void. But here I am. I'm back again, and it's 10:30. That's right. You don't got to adjust your clocks at home. It is 10:30. It is the witching hour, so to speak. I am been exiled officially to the late night. That's right. The after dark. I am the new Cinemax. And I hope all is well with you here on this 10:30 on this June 3rd, almost June 4th, 2024. But I'm happy to be back. And actually, before we get any deeper into the show, a little bit of a programming note. You're going to get used to seeing me if you see me on the show. It's going to be mainly on Monday nights at 10:30 from now and going forward until the end of the summer. I got a lot of stuff that I'm into these days, and moving the show a little bit to the right on Monday nights is more beneficial to me. Because of my schedule that I'm now involved in now until the middle part or so of August. So 10:30 p.m. Mondays is going to be my new time as we will see how that works out. I mean, they've tried me everywhere else. Let's try almost midnight. And maybe there's a following of people out there for me. Maybe that's the problem, right? Maybe I haven't found my niche here on EOP yet because I haven't found my time. Maybe I only appeal to a certain type of person, and maybe that person is the 10:30 kind of person, but we'll see. But 10:30 is going to be where I will be found for the next, say, 2.5 months, with the exception of next Monday, because next Monday I'm going right back down to 8 o'clock because we've got a special treat for you kids. Jim Jackson, the play-by-play voice of the Philadelphia Flyers, will be returning to the Talking Philly Sports with MattyB program. And we'll cut it up a little bit. I haven't spoken to Jim since before the season began. But we had a good time, and he's agreed to come back. And we're probably definitely going to lay down the law about what the Flyers were, what the Flyers are looking to be, and what the Flyers will become over the next few weeks as we're getting closer and closer to a couple of big-time things going on in the world of the Flyers. And I will have the opportunity to kind of go back over some of those tonight, because I really haven't had my opportunity to talk about them. But so Jim Jackson's going to come back next Monday at 8 o'clock. And then after that, it'll be back to 10:30 until the end of the summer. So I hope you guys are in for I hope I can make your summer nights. When you think of the summer of 2024, you think of me. You think of how I kept you company towards the later end of your evenings on Mondays, at least. And you think of me fondly because I deserve to be thought of fondly because I am a nice guy. But, so that's what we're going to be doing here going forward. But tonight, I actually have nothing formal prepared. I ain't going to lie to you. I have had absolutely zero amount of time to, I wouldn't say zero, but a minimum amount of time. I got home from what I do in the summers now about maybe an hour ago or so. Ate dinner, first meal of the day for me, and then kind of got to this. But I've been kind of kicking around some things in my mind about what I want to talk about tonight, and we'll get into some things. And if you saw the banner for the show, we will be breaking down the third round of the Flyers draft. We've been breaking down the draft for the first 2 weeks, kind of took a break, and now we're going to get back into breaking down the third. We'll recap the first two rounds, get into that third round. We'll mix in some MattyB and Mitchkoff, and we'll also talk some, maybe a little bit of the Stanley Cup Finals, because I ain't going to lie to you. I have not watched one hot second of the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. Not one. Not one round. Not one period. Not one puck drop. Not one goal. Not one commercial. Nada. Not a thing. And to be honest with you, when I found out that it was Edmonton and Florida, I was like, wow, the NHL must be doing cartwheels over that one. That's a real ratings grabber, huh? Who's been waiting for that, right? The Edmonton Oilers going to throw down against the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup Finals. Wow. The only thing that Flyers fans really have with this, or there's actually two things at stake for Flyers fans throughout this last leg of the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's the fact that our second first-round draft pick is owned by the Florida Panthers. So it's a matter of us now picking, I guess, between 31 and 32 at this point. And then, of course, The magical Stanley Cup mythology is going to come true here in a couple months, or actually not in a couple months, a couple weeks. The Flyers Stanley Cup plaque from the 1973-74 first of the back-to-back Stanley Cup champion teams will be removed from said Stanley Cup in order to make room for the 2023-24 Stanley Cup champion, leaving one team, one Flyers team representation on that cup, which will come off next year whenever they crown the new champion in 24-25. So I guess there are some Flyers ties to this Stanley Cup Finals that you can be interested in. Me, I'm not. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm not could care one less about what happens in the Stanley Cup Finals, nor could I have cared what happened in the conference finals, the conference semifinals, or the conference quarterfinals, because the Flyers weren't in it, and I really had no bearing to care. So, but we'll talk a little bit about that because I have some knowledge, just a little bit of hockey knowledge that I can share. But yeah. So before we kind of dig into this, let's start off like this show as we start off every other show, and that is your night in Philadelphia sports history. And we go back to the ripe day of June 3rd, 1975. I was actually alive during this period. I know a lot of these this night in Philadelphia sports history. It's like all the way back to 1945, and yeah, popular to contrary belief. No, I was not around on this day, but on this day, I was around. I was all of about 2 years old, but I was around, right? So physically, I was there. I was present for this moment. Maybe not in conscious mind, but I was there. Hell, I'm not in their conscious mind right now. But anyway, on this night in Philadelphia sports history, it's a Flyers note. The Flyers made a few trades on this night in order to kind of take their spot from where they were in the draft and move all the way up to that number 1 overall pick. That's right, folks. The Flyers, who have never, ever in their entire history as an organization, now chew on this for a second, they have never earned the first overall pick in the NHL draft. Never, ever have they had the first overall pick in the NHL draft. And the closest they ever got to it, well, they've gotten to number 2 a couple times, but the closest they ever got to it happened on this day in 1975 when they traded it was actually during the draft, they traded their 18th overall pick, who was Don McLean, who actually ended up having a pretty good career, bouncing around for the Washington Capitals of note. I believe he played some time out there in LA for the Kings. And Bill Clement. They were sent to the Washington Capitals. And the pick was the first overall pick by the Capitals that year, which was Mel Bridgman. Now, for those of you who know Mel Bridgman, and I'm sure all of you do, actually ended up having a very good career. Not for us. He actually ended up having a very good career for the New Jersey Devils. Bridgman was a little bit didn't really live up to the expectations of a number 1 overall draft pick. I mean, he was a decent player. He was never somebody you were going to build a team around. And always when you draft first overall, you expect that that's what you're going to do. You're going to build a team around this guy. But Mel Bridgman wasn't that guy. Remember the big bushy mustache, Mel Bridgman? Yeah. So, he played a few years with the Flyers. Flyers then moved on from him and then sent him to the Devils. But on this day, the Flyers actually had the first overall draft pick. Kinda. They did. And they've never, ever, ever, ever in their history. And I guess tonight was the closest they ever got to that first overall pick, because they've never, ever, 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 ever had the first overall draft pick in the draft. Can you believe that, man? That's amazing to me. Absolutely, utterly amazing. The Flyers have never picked 1 overall. So, but anyway, that was your day in Philadelphia sports history. And I hope you loved it, because that was brought to you. That special segment was brought to you by the folks over at the Cherry Law Firm, Dave Cherry at 610-565-0300 for all your workman's compensation, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, and criminal law. Contact Dave Cherry at 610-565-0300. I got to talk like this because it's the hour of the night, right? It's like tuning in with soft, tuned in jazz with MattyB on WKX Love. I got that kind of deep baritone voice that's going to put couples in the mood, right? It's probably why I never was on the radio on a jazz station and late nights. But yeah, so that was your day in Philadelphia sports history. So let's get on into the comments, man. I got a few of them, actually. Let's take a look at Star Wars 99. Yeah, what's up, man? Reese Haas has got welcome back to Philly today. He did Star Wars. He did, and that's that. Well, I guess we can jump into the Phillies if you like. Again, no real script tonight, folks. Kind of winging it, with the exception of the third round mock draft, which we'll go over. But yeah, Reese Haas came back, and then what did he do? Got caught, got gunned out at home, and then he also hit a home run as he was welcomed back to Philadelphia. And I was listening to Al a little earlier on the Fightins Final, and was wondering, what was the. He brought up a good point. Actually, he was talking about this love affair for Rhys Hoskins now that he's no longer here, and he's actually damn right on with his assessment of the hypocrisy. I guess we can call it hypocrisy. Because I couldn't find it. You couldn't find a Rhys Hoskins supporter anywhere, during his heyday. I know there was times where the New York Mets series in 2021 just kind of jumps into my head, where he single-handedly snatched victory snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory with his stellar first base play, his streaky hitting, all of that nonsense. And I was on record, and I think I was on the final, matter of fact, when this happened last spring, or was it maybe right in the beginning of the season? I don't quite remember. I have a busy, busy life, but I remember feeling, and I hate to say it, but I'll own it, and I'll admit to it, and I'll put it out there for the public. I was happy he got hurt. I ain't gonna lie to you. I mean, I don't like to see it, and I wasn't wishing for it, but when he tore his ACL in Clearwater at the end of spring training in 23, 23? Yeah, Jesus Christ, 23. I was like, hallelujah. We've been delivered. No more Rhys Hoskins. And I stood by that because I think the Phillies are a better team without him, honestly. Where the hell do you put Rhys Hoskins? Do we have a room on this franchise for another streaky-ass hitter? Can you imagine that? Why don't we bet Nick Castellanos and Rhys Hoskins back-to-back in the lineup? And then at the same time, let's shave our heads with cheese graters while chewing on tinfoil, because that would probably be more pleasurable than watching that thing take place on a night-to-night basis. So I get it. He was first of the. You got to give him the credit there. He was that first piece, I guess, of the resurgence of the Phillies. When he burst onto the scene, hitting home runs left and right. We thought we had like Ryan Howard reincarnated. He was a first baseman, for God's sakes. And maybe we thought, we just struck first base gold again, right? I don't know, man. I just, it didn't work out that way. He definitely cooled off. Always a decent power hitter, and he always will be a decent power hitter. But there's no room on this team for Rhys Hoskins anymore. There probably wasn't in 2022 or 23 when we brought all the other pieces here. But for all this hypocrisy about stand up and cheer, and again, if you guys haven't noticed, or if you don't know, I work for the biggest homer network in the history of the world. I don't think even in New York City it's this bad, what I got to deal with here at EOP. I got people saying, you better stand up and cheer. Why? What the hell did he ever win us? What did Rhys Hoskins ever bring to Philadelphia that we could celebrate with, Is it purely because of his wife buying everybody a beer at the playoffs last year? Is that why we're celebrating? Don't listen to the homers, man. Don't listen to the homers that want you to get in line with everybody else and tell you what to do. Make your own opinion. And my opinion is we're better off without him. He's probably going to find his niche in Milwaukee. Maybe they need they're in heavy desire for a streaky hitting designated hitter now because he's no longer capable, and I don't think he really ever was capable of playing first base. Didn't the Phillies try him out in the outfield in his rookie year? Wasn't he butting up against Ryan Howard? No, he wasn't. Who was playing first then? Was it Tommy? You know what I'm talking about. Was he playing first base, and then they put Hoskins in the outfield? Didn't he started out in the outfield, didn't he? I think he did. But anyway, I'm not saying you move him back there, but thank God he's not here. And but yeah, Rhys Hoskins came back. Phillies won tonight, which was good. Got back on the winning column, so good stuff. Rhys got a hug by Bryce Harper. Who cares? Who cares what he got from Bryce Harper? With the exception of a paycheck, who cares? Come on, Star Wars, man. Come at me with something different, man. Who cares if he got a hug from Bryce Harper. Cares? Was that like the Pope kiss? You gotta go kiss the Pope's ring? Is that the equivalent of a hug from Bryce Harper? Kissing the Pope's ring? Getting the Don's blessing? Was that what that was all about? Yeah, another thing that burns my ass, man. This Bryce Harper love. You know, I have respect for a lot of people. I have respect for everybody on the edge of Philly sports. Everybody I respect. I don't agree with a goddamn one of them, but I respect them all. But today or yesterday, I heard through the grapevine, because I didn't have an opportunity to watch it live because I'm busy, but I heard that Pat Bernard retracted his earlier statement about Bryce Harper not being. What do they say when you're not quoting? You know what I'm talking about. That he said essentially that Bryce Harper was a baby for throwing his equipment, getting ejected out of baseball games, not running out ground balls, and that Bryce Harper is pretty much a baby. He's not a leader. It's a paraphrasing. There you go. I'm paraphrasing. And then Pat Bernard went back on it because he was challenged on the Edge of Philly Sports Network. He was challenged by the Homerdites, and Pat Bernard folded like a house of cards in a strong windstorm. He folded. He retracted it. Now, listen, man, I respect you more for standing on the hill because, man, I'm a hill stander. If you don't know me, boy, I'll stand on a hill. Ain't no one got nothing on me on standing on hills. All right? Nobody. But even if I'm dead wrong about something, I'll never go back on it. I mean, I'll take that to my dying day. I'll die on that hill. For those of you who don't know. And I'm not going to get into why. Maybe I will a bit later in the show. But anyway, he retracted it, man. He retracted it under the pressure from the Homer tribe, from the Homerdites, from the sunglass wearing, Kool-Aid drinking Homerdites. He retracted his statement. Listen, there's nothing wrong with thinking that Bryce Harper's not a leader because he's not. Pure and simple, he's not. He's not a leader. He doesn't give a damn about Philadelphia. He gives a damn about himself. And if you can't see that, now I got a place for you. It's called the Edge of Philly Sports. That's right. Come on over because there's room for another one of you on this network. But yeah, I mean, I'm not judging his baseball ability. Not at all. I mean, he's a gift from the baseball gods. Again, what has he ever won anybody? But he's won a lot of individual accolades, right? He's won the MVPs for himself. He's won Silver Sluggers. He's got all-star appearances. He's got a lot of Bryce Harper accolades. He doesn't have many team accolades, which what a leader would be kind of involved in. But he's not a leader, man. He's not. And he is a selfish little baby. He is selfish. And yes, he's a loser because he hasn't ever won a World Series. And again, it's okay to say that. You know how my volume went down when I said loser? I actually started to cringe what the Homerdites are going to say about me. But they won't come after me. They know because they know better. They know better. The Homers won't come after me. They think by not acknowledging me that I'll go away. No. I'm like a fungus, man. Once I stick, I stick. But no, he's not a leader. And it's okay to think that. It's definitely okay to think that. It's 100% okay to think that. Until he slips the ring on his finger, that aforementioned Pope ring, the World Series ring, and then we will all have to bow down and kiss it, because maybe even I will at that point. He's not a leader. And if somebody came at him with a way out of this contract, a way out of this current deal, to a more lucrative deal, somewhere else, do you think Bryce Harper would strap on his Philly fanatic bandana and his love for Philly shoes or whatever the hell else he wears that's pandering to the city of Philadelphia and say, you know what? Thank you, but no. Because I'm all about Philadelphia. If you think that, then I got a place for you right here at EOP. Because that's not true. Because Bryce Harper will take care of Bryce Harper first. So Pat Bernard, shame on you. Shame on you. Next time, don't let the homers get to you. Just take a stand and stand by it. I believe it was in reference to Bryce Harper being the biggest problem of the Phillies during the little losing streak out there in Colorado and San Francisco. Now, I don't believe that he was or is the biggest problem that the Phillies have. I don't. He's not having a great year. But we're brushing that off to the side a little bit because they're winning, and that's how you do it. But And I don't believe that Bryce Harper is the biggest problem with the Phillies. I certainly do not. I applauded Pat for making that stand, and then at the same time, I commend or condemn him from taking it back because he felt the pressure, or I don't know, maybe it's Pat's Pat. Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but anyway, I heard about that, so I had to make a comment on it. Apparently, the plate ump is a cousin to Angel Hernandez. Yeah, and that's another thing. The umpire hate. I'm not gonna, So here's the deal. I am an umpire, right? I've worked college, Division III, high school varsity, JV, modified, Little League, summer ball, Babe Ruth, Cal Ripken, travel ball. I currently work at Cooperstown, New York, at their Dreams Park, where I deal with 12-year-olds from around the country that come for a 1-week baseball tournament. Every week, there's a new group of players and teams come in. And this week, Miguel Cabrera's son. I actually got Miguel Cabrera's autograph. Met him yesterday, actually. He signed something for me. But his son is on one of these teams that's participating up there. And anyway, I've been breaking hearts and making 12-year-olds cry for the last 2 days. And boy, I love it. Absolutely 100% love it. Because you know what? It's some of their first taste of what it's actually like to deal with a competent professional umpire. And it's amazing. It's amazing. Last year, I dealt with Peyton Manning's son and broke his heart. And actually had Peyton yelling at me at one point, too. But that's a separate story for a different day. But yeah, I mean, listen, was I the biggest Angel Hernandez supporter? No, man. That guy was kind of, I don't know. He was what he was. I've never really put much stock into what Angel Hernandez. I mean, you don't just fall ass backwards into Major League Baseball. You have a long road to go till you get there. Many evaluations, many gates to open and clear. Was he the best umpire? No, he wasn't. But a lot of people make him out to be this criminally insane lunatic that was running around out there, loose as a cannon. He wasn't. I think his career average was like around 91% with balls and strikes. I think they saw that somewhere. So, but yeah, he retired, and it is what it is. I applaud Angel Hernandez. Again, for all you Monday morning quarterbacks out there, if you had such a problem with what Angel Hernandez was, and if you have such a problem with any of them are, then I will contact me through the Edge of Philly Sports, and I will send you on your way to becoming an umpire so you can change it. So you can get down there in the dirt and you can change things for the better. And I guarantee you, if you do, and you answer the bell, I commend you. But once you get down in the dirt, I think you're going to have a little bit of a different philosophy or a different outlook about what an umpire does. So yeah, there's my take on the Angel Hernandez thing. Is there a goaltender to pursue in the NHL draft? Carter Hart's trial still pending and will probably go into next season. Thank you, Richie. That's what I'm talking about. An intelligent hockey question for me, man. And I know a little bit about hockey. So currently, and I've had a deeper dive into the 300 plus some odd players that are, in this draft for the most part. And there's always outliers that teams pick from somewhere else. But there are no first round, second round, maybe a little bit front end of the third round prospects for goalies. This is not a goaltending year. And as far as the Flyers go, they currently have 7 goaltending prospects, to include 2 picks in the second and third round last year, back-to-back, or in the second round, back-to-back picks. In Igor Varagin and Carson Bjornsson. So 7 current Flyer goalie prospects, along with Sam Ersson, along with Cal Peterson, who's still under contract for another year. That's right. That white goalie mask a la Pelle Lindbergh is coming back for one more year, allegedly, right now. And to include them too, the Flyers have 7 prospect players that are in their system, goalie-wise. I would be very surprised, Richie, if the Flyers would even, explore an option with drafting a goalie this year. I think they like what they got, and there's just honestly too many other issues on this team that the Flyers don't have the luxury of taking goaltending. And I think last year with the taking of goalies in back-to-back positions in the draft was everything to do with the uncertainty that was around Carter Hart. And now that it's certain, and let's face it, I mean, I'm not speaking with any kind of clear validity or knowledge, but I would be very surprised if Carter Hart was ever put on the orange and black again. I think the Flyers are just, they're back to the goaltending drawing board. They really are. It's starting over again. And it shouldn't be any real surprise to anybody. It's what we've been doing since Belly Lindbergh died. And we haven't been able to find a decent goalie in that. Well, we had a couple decent ones, but we haven't had that guy in all that time. So the Flyers are heading right back down a road that they probably weren't expecting to be going down anytime soon. And it's unfortunate because it's not part of what the rebuild was initially, but now it is. Now you got to factor in developing another goalie, and Sam Ersson will be your starting goaltender next year. I'd bet my mortgage payment on it. I don't have a mortgage payment, but I would bet it if I did, that Sam Ersson will be your goalie. And then it's just going to be a myriad of potentially signing a veteran backup for him, or bringing up, because you ain't riding with Cal Peterson up here. You're not going to do that. And I don't think they're going to ride with Kovasov. I think he's going to start down there in Lehigh Valley. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Flyers ride with Ersson and sign themselves like a Matt Murray-ish, veteran, kind of on the back end of his career, goalie for a year or two contract to kind of just let him develop another year. But as far as going out and drafting, there's really nobody that I've seen that moves my needle. And the Flyers, who have 10 picks in this draft and so many issues up front and on the blue line that probably need to be addressed, that drafting a goalie. And then again, once again, I'm saying this, that they drafted 2 goalies last year in back-to-back picks. I just don't see that recipe recreating itself this year. So I hope that answered your question. Big Al says, what, we're agreeing? Yeah, Al, you know me and you agree more than, you make it sound like we never agree. We always do. We always agree. Reese's injury was huge. The Phillies needed the extra bat in the World Series. Okay, now that's an interesting point, Richie, and I want to address that. So we needed an extra bat in the World Series is actually a correct statement, but it was the same type of bat that we already had. So really what I'm trying to say is Rhys Hoskins would have been just like another guy up there hacking away trying to win the series on one swing. It wouldn't have been a change of pace guy. We needed a bat, but we needed a change of pace bat. We needed a bat of someone that can get us on base and start a rally. We didn't need another home run hitter. And yes, Rhys Hoskins would have provided that home run thing. It would have been the same thing as having Bryce Harper stand up there, or Nick Castellanos stand up there, or Jake Cave stand up there. It was the same type of bat. So, true statement, we needed another bat. Untrue statement about the type of bat. We needed a different type of bat, a contact hitter bat. We needed a slash hitter. We needed a guy who could put the ball on the ground. We needed a guy who could put the ball down the line or in the gap. That's what we needed off the bench, and we didn't have that. So Rhys Hoskins in the World Series or in the NLCS would have been a bat, yes, but it would have been no different than what we were already dealing with. And he would have most certainly, and I can't say this for sure, but most certainly been involved in the hack-a-shack or the hack-a-home run that they all were trying to do to send the Phillies into the World Series. So I disagree with that connection. The injury was huge in a good way. It really was. If you kind of unpeel the onion here, it was more good came out of it than anything else. Bryce Harper found his niche at first base. So now we get to save Bryce Harper's arm, right? We were able to finagle, I know, kind of in a roundabout way. We could be able to add another piece to do it, but Kyle Schwarber is now DH. Once again, is that the better thing? I hate to say it, but Kyle Schwarber is a much better batter right now than Rhys Hoskins is. And I don't believe I'm saying that, but it's true. So the injury for Rhys Hoskins actually helped this team more than it hurt them, in my opinion. And then freed up the salary that we could go out and sign maybe Aaron Nola to that 7-year extension or Zach Wheeler to that 7-year extension because we didn't have to worry about re-signing him. So think about it. Think about it in a holistic standpoint about how much better this team is off without Rhys Hoskins than they would be with him on the team. I think that's more of a democratic way to look at it. Dave, what's up, man? Can you get a shout out to my daughter Faith? Her tournament team will be out at States. Well, good luck, Faith. I wish you all the best. Didn't you guys win it all last year? or they came close, Dave. I remember that last year. Not World Series. Yes, I do. No, it was the NLCS. Yep. That Dahl home run was nice today. Yeah, and that was another Phillies point, of course, with the news that Brandon Marsh and Cody Clement are now on, or Cody Clemens. I don't know why I call him Clement. Cody Clemens. Lucky I called him Cody. I didn't call him Roger, but yeah, Brandon Marsh and Cody Clemens are now on the DL. Excuse me, IL. I don't want the PC police chasing me down either, but on the IL. The Phillies made a couple roster moves. They brought up David Dahl, who has been torching it in Lehigh Valley, and they brought up Weston Wilson, who is the a little bit of an infield option there, another bat, I guess, some power off the bench. Kind of came up last year. Was the Derek Hall of last year? Derek Hall was in 22, right? I think he homered on his first at bat. That was the Lorenzen no-hitter game, right? Was also Weston Wilson's MLB debut last year. But those two are now up with the Phillies, and Dahl was inserted into the starting lineup tonight, and he homered. Now, David Dahl, of course, is no stranger to the MLB. I mean, he played for about 6-7 years as a regular in the Rocky lineup, and a very good player. The injuries just kind of took him down, man. Took him down. Bounced around a little bit. Found his way to the Phillies this offseason via a minor league deal, which is important here. It's a minor league deal, so that means he has options, right? We could send him back down because he was signed a minor league deal. It's a very interesting terminology here. It's a very interesting contract, and it makes a little bit more sense when potential roster moves have to be made yet again when everybody gets healthy. David Dahl could return without going back through waivers. So that's interesting. But David Dahl tore it up in spring. He really did. Actually, he was the best hitting Philly player this past spring. I think he really got a lot of the looks, right? But he really was hitting well. And he didn't make the team out of spring training. And I always kind of was like, why? But obviously there was an agenda, a narrative to get Pache and Rojas on this team so they could provide or continue to try to develop into major league players. So Dahl was sent to Lehigh Valley, and then I do a little thing on the Titans Final every Wednesday or Sunday, called Down the Phillies Farm. And David Dahl this week was once again the position player of the week for the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, Iron Pigs. The third straight week that David Dahl earned that title through his performance for that week. So 3 straight weeks, David Dahl was the Lehigh Valley Iron Pig position player of the week, as based off of MattyB and his research that he does every week for this fine segment down on the Phillies Farm that you can catch on the Titans Final every Sunday, whether I'm there or not. And yeah, he got the call today. So, and then he homered. Obviously, that's definitely a good problem to have. Once again, as we're finding depth where we thought we didn't have it, or we not necessarily thought we had it, but no, we're finding that depth. And David Dahl is going to make it potentially even more confusing if he continues to hit about what we're going to do when everybody gets healthy. But yeah, it's good to see it because I always thought David Dahl could really contribute. And I, with Merrifield's struggles, I don't know. Maybe there's a question to be asked there. Well, let's see some of this kind of play out. But yeah, David Dahl is back. Finally back up with the Phillies. Could Hoskins be the Schwarber for the Brew Crew? No, I don't think so. No. Nah. Do you see that, Al? Hoskins being the Schwarber for the Brew Crew. I don't think Hoskins is that big of a... I think Schwarber's a better power hitter than Hoskins. I do. And again, it seems like what Kyle Schwarber is that, all he does is hit home runs, right? But I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so. Not in the Kyle Schwarber-esque type of mold. I don't think they're comparable as power hitters. I think Schwarber's more powerful. Maybe kind of the Schwarber light version. Maybe a Schwarber with more options version. I don't know. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying I don't see that analogy. I don't. Daniel Barry says, "What's up, man? Hey, Daniel, how you been, man?" Harper may be a diva, but not a baby. No, he is. I mean, come on. What's the difference? He is a diva. He is a baby. He's a loser. Bryce Harper's a loser, man. He is. Why are you people getting mad at me? It's the facts, right? I'm just citing what I see. He is. He's a gift from the baseball gods. But you know what? I don't want him up at the plate with my season on the line. I don't feel confident. He's not clutch to me. He's a show off. He's a panderer. He's a look at me. Right? He's never won a World Series. But again, it's this Philadelphia sports mentality that we want to like believe it. We want to believe that he's something more than what he is. We want to believe that he's like really cares about Philadelphia. We so desperately want to believe that about all of our athletes, that they really want to be here, that we are some sort of nirvana for them. And that's what we think. But to think that that's what they think is ridiculous. Bryce Harper wants to be where the money is. And currently the money's here. So again, with the chips are down, in my own personal opinion, I don't want the bat. I don't want Harper up there because I don't trust him to do the right thing. I don't trust him to hit what needs to be done. He'll get up there swinging for the fence. And maybe I don't need a home run. Maybe I need a single. I just need to drive a run in. I need a fly ball. I don't trust Bryce Harper to do that. I trust Bryce Harper would get up there to try to make a moment for himself in a situation that maybe I don't need that. I just need a run or a guy on base. But Bryce Harper is going to look to make the headline. And that's not clutch. That's a baby. That's a diva. That's a panderer. Right? I mean, again, I'm not citing anything that's not true. So, listen, you can agree or disagree with me, but it's the truth. He's a baby, and he's a loser because he's never won a World Series. And that's not me making lies. It's just the truth. Superstars tend to be. Superstars in whose eyes, man? Harper never won yes, true. He's never won a World Series, Star Wars. Are you repeating that, or are you like generally surprised by that statement or you didn't know that? No, he's never won a World Series. So again, what's he ever won? NL Player of the Month. Okay, great. So do we have a row of those trophies somewhere lined up? Is there a parade for that? Is he going down Broad Street? Are we going to, is Chase Utley going to be there? I mean, who cares? Again, these are accolades for Bryce Harper. What has Bryce Harper done for the Philadelphia Phillies? What has Bryce Harper done to the Philadelphia Phillies? I heard somebody on this network, again, Homerville, USA, folks, right? On this very network, try to compare Bryce Harper to Mike Schmidt. Damn near almost fell out of my Posturepedic chair. Damn near almost fell out of my chair. When somebody had the audacity to compare Bryce Harper to the greatest third baseman to ever play in this town, the greatest third baseman to ever play the sport, and of course the World Series champion in Mike Schmidt. Almost goddamn fell out of my chair. Bryce Harper is nowhere near Mike Schmidt, and he never will be, I don't think. Okay? Because Mike Schmidt cared. He hated being here at times, hated the fans, but he never would have thought about leaving, ever. Bryce Harper only cares about where he is right now and who's paying him. So if you want to believe an athlete is something, look at Mike Schmidt, because he actually was that. What you're trying to, I'm not doing it, man. You're not guilting me into that. I'm not doing it. This is my dime, all right? But if you want to believe that Bryce Harper is anything, and I don't, is that why you're here? To debate me on this?
Yeah, you're killing me, Smalls.
All right, let's do it, man.
I had to jump in on this. First part, you can't have it both ways. That's my thing, MattyB. This is you might not think he is the best or whatever you want to think about him. That's fine.
I never said he wasn't. I've said it multiple times. He's a gift from the baseball gods. I have said it multiple times.
But then you asked the question, like my comment was a little off because you're asking. You said he was having a bad year. I said it was the NL Player of the Month. So kind of going back at you on.
No, I said if I said bad, I meant to say inconsistent. He's not having a Bryce Harper. He hasn't. Yeah, I don't care about the NL Player of the Month. But are you going to sit here and tell me he's been clutch?
At times.
Give me one time. Give me a time of clutch time that he's been.
Well, there's when they were actually struggling in the beginning of the season, and he had those 3 home run games. That was all him. when he was playing when they were playing against the Blue Jays, that game where they all Cody Clemens and everybody went on a tear. He started that. There's been plenty of times he led this team by example. And in my opinion, that is a clutch moment. He was clutch in 2023 and 2022 at times, especially in the playoffs. The man, if you asked the question, who would I want at bat in a clutch moment if it's
season on the line
with the season on the line? He has to be one of the top guys I want on line.
And you expect him to do what needs to be done for the better of the team, but not for the better of Bryce Harper. And what I mean by that is that, like I said, if say the situation required it, I just need a single. I need a drive in a run. I need a guy, a fly ball to left field to get the runner in. I don't need a home run per se. Do you expect him to go out there and make a moment for the team by getting that run, or make a moment for Bryce Harper for swinging for the fence?
100%.
So you think he's going to be for the team or for Bryce Harper?
I think he is going to do his best because in essence, in that case, in that scenario, what's best is for Bryce Harper is best for the team because they all go home or they all play on. So in that scenario, it kind of works out the same way. But if you're asking me if I think he's just going to go up there and wail away every time, no. Well, I think he'll take a massive swing at times if it's there for him. Yeah, because that's the one thing about him. I've said it a million times, especially in this NLCS that just passed on us. The whole team was doing that, except for like maybe Brandon Marsh and a couple other guys. But for the most part, we're just trying to kill the ball to, like you said, win it in one fell swoop. And he fell into that category as well. But that was panic mode. That wasn't a and there is a difference between a diva and a baby, and they call the man a loser. Come on, man. That's a bit much.
Why is that a bit much? What has he won? But what has he won for a team? What does he won for this city? What did he won for Washington? What did he win for anything?
You're telling me the Philadelphia Phillies have not been better because of Bryce Harper?
I've said they have. I've said he's a gift from the gods. But he's not. But we put him. But Al, we put him on a pedestal. We put him up there on this pedestal. But he's not won anything. He's not done anything to deserve to be up on that pedestal, in my opinion.
People put Pete Rose up on a pedestal before he won anything with us. People put Mike Schmidt probably up on a pedestal too before he won anything. I can understand if we're having this conversation 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years down the line, he came in here and just, always came up short. Then yes, you can have that conversation. He was put up on a pedestal. But Bryce Harper, pretty much the face of baseball, I think we can all agree upon for the most part. Maybe Shohei Ohtani, if you want to throw that in there. But for the most part, you think top 3 guys you think of in baseball: Shohei Ohtani, Bryce Harper. I don't even know who else.
Trout,
and even Trout sucks. Okay, Trout. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing: is I like Mike Trout as a person, but he's a guy that people bring who won here because of the nostalgia, bring the home team kid home. That doesn't do anything for me because I don't know if he could win here. I don't think he could take the pressure of being in Philly. I think that's why he likes being on the West Coast. He likes being a Philly fan from distance, but I don't think he could handle it here. Would I get upset if Mike Trout came to Philly? No. I mean, he's one of the best players in baseball, but I don't know if he could handle it. But 2 things. Bryce Harper, there is a huge difference between him being a diva and all superstars have diva mentality, okay? They all do it. It's the ones that can back it up who tend to, and for the most part, Bryce Harper can back it up. He has not won it all yet, but he's kept us damn close to it the whole time. Because look at the difference from when we didn't have him on this team and we did have him on this team, even when he was out for his injuries. Where the difference is. I'm not talking like individual games if he's not here, like when he went out.
You're talking about overall season difference.
Yeah, right? Overall season, like missing large chunks of the season, like when he was injured. Okay. There's a difference. This team, and not to call him, and again, he might not be your prototypical leader in your eyes.
He's not a leader at all. He's not a leader.
But now listen, he does galvanize that locker room a lot because when Bryce Harper's pissed and Bryce Harper's not happy, and I know you don't like it because you feel like it's almost like the comments I've made about like LeBron James. If LeBron James would come here, the problem is the circus of LeBron James comes here with it. You know what I mean? And I can see like that's kind of where I feel like you're putting it at. Like, but that's a guy who could back it up because he has the championship pedigree, but he brings a lot of the nonsense with him. Bryce Harper doesn't have the championship pedigree yet, at least.
So we're about what now? We're about 11, 12 years, 13, about 12 years into his career now, right? I mean, he broke in 12, I believe, was his first year in Major League Baseball. So we're actually beyond 10 years. I hear what you're saying, but Pete Rose had pedigree in Cincinnati. He came here with championship pedigree. He hadn't won yet, but he did win it here. Mike Schmidt, once he won the World Series in 1980, along with the NL MVP, galvanized that pedigree and became what he became. So I'm just telling you that don't be mad at me because that's how it happens. The ring means a lot, and it means a ton. And until Bryce Harper does that, right? Until Bryce Harper does that, he's just he's an amazing athlete. He's an amazing baseball player. I will not take that away from him. But to this all in reverence to him about, the sun sets and whatever with Bryce Harper. I don't think Bryce Harper cares anywhere near the way we care about him that he cares for us. Bryce Harper would be gone in a flash if he had a better deal from somewhere else. And to not think that's really ridiculous.
I think most people would, to be honest with you. I think to feel that other people wouldn't do that. You think if Alec
Mike Schmidt wouldn't do it. Mike Schmidt didn't do it.
I said most, but I'm saying like, okay. You think if Alec Boehm, like same scenario, some team came to them and said, "We'll take you. You can get out of your contract. You can come play for us, and you're gonna make Bryce Harper style money." He's gonna leave.
Yeah, but Alec Boehm's not walking around with Fanatic friggin' headband on and for the love of Philly, and he's a panderer, man. I mean, I know what he's doing.
Maybe he is, but is that really a terrible thing? Like, it just means he's a good PR guy, really? I mean, that's the difference.
He's trying to suck you in to buy the product, to feed from the power teat, and then when he's done with you, he's going to push you away.
Maybe it's not even just him. Maybe that was part of the deal when he came here. We know that if you wear Fanatic shoes or a Fanatic headband or whatever, we know we're going to sell that. Is it weird that every time he wears what he wears, that it's for freaking sale in the Majestic store?
It's a very good point, Al.
I mean,
you're speaking the truth.
Maybe and he makes money off of that too, right?
Yeah, of course.
He makes money off of that too.
Donating that to the local Philadelphia charities. I mean, probably in some way to get a tax write-off. Yes, but Al, the reverence that people, let me
ask this question. When would the reverence be? Is the only way he deserves reverence if he wins the World Series? Is that what you're telling me?
Absolutely. Once they win rings, it all changes. It changes everything.
So, all right, Brian.
Greatest second baseman in Phillies history is?
Greatest second baseman?
Come on. We're number 26.
What? I said it.
No, I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
I said Boa.
No, it's Chase. Boa played shortstop. And it was Chase Utley, right? Well, would you not agree with Chase Utley?
Oh, I love Chase Utley. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. But he's one of the top. Yeah, definitely. I don't know if he was the.
And what is the cream of his crop? What is the cherry on top of Chase Utley? It's that 08 championship ring. Yeah. Right. 100%. Again, it makes it all better. It does. It brings it all together.
Is Roy Halladay not a great pitcher, or was a great pitcher?
He was a very good. He was the Dan Marino of pitchers. Yes.
Is Cliff Lee was not a great pitcher?
Yes, they were very good pitchers.
Okay, I mean, but they didn't win.
But do you okay? But when it comes down to it, and you look back at Roy Halladay and you look at Cliff Lee, are they synonymous with Philadelphia or are they synonymous with Toronto and Cleveland?
The 93 Phillies. Mm-hmm. Is it ridiculous? Is it ridiculous the way people, still love and get around the 93 Phillies?
And
talk about that choke job, and talk about like tripping at the finish line. They are no different for the most part than the 2022 Phillies.
They're a great story, those players, but I would not put John Kruk in the Hall of Fame. I'm not putting Lenny Dykstra in the Hall of Fame. I'm not putting Darren Dalton in the Hall of Fame.
Are we wrong for raising them up and making them these icons that, as Philly fans, we made them because they came short of the victory of winning the whole thing?
Yeah, but they didn't walk. None of those players at that time were Bryce Harper. None of those players at that time were that type of. They were all also rans and middle of the road guys that all hit at the same time.
Was not all about Lenny Dykstra.
I didn't. You're misunderstanding. Again, you're trying to compare Lenny Dykstra and Bryce Harper. They're two different people. One's a great baseball player. One was a above average, really spark plug type player. Lenny Dykstra back in the 80s and 90s was the bomb. He was a great player. Granted, he's got all kinds of personal baggage that he's carrying around with him, but but whatever. But when he was on the field for the Mets and for the Phillies, I thought one of the greatest trades the Phillies ever made was trading Juan Samuel to the Mets for Lenny Dykstra and Roger McDowell. It might have been one of the top 5 greatest trades in Phillies history. Yeah. And it started that ball to roll for 93. So, but I'm not going to look at any of those guys 30 years from now. It's a great story. Those guys are a great story because they came from nowhere.
30 years from now.
I'm
you already are doing
no,
that.
Let me finish. I'm not going to look at that great story 30 years from now and say, why isn't Lenny Dykstra not in the Hall of Fame? Why don't we talk about John Kruk as the greatest first baseman in baseball history? I'm not going to look at it like that. I'm always going to be fond of what they did, yes. And I'm always going to, and I have PTSD to this day when I see that stupid ass clip of Joe Carter rolling around the bases. I get all that.
I don't look at it. I scroll past if I see it on social media. I don't even want to look at it.
Hard, man.
Yeah.
But I know with their place is nostalgia. Their place is like, I guess I can't really even compare it to any other Phillies team because there wasn't anything like it before or since. Where the guys that came from nowhere all rose together as one and took us on a great journey. And that's why there's a lot of 93 vibes about this team. But that's only kind of how they're playing. I think the players are different in pedigree as well. So
I think it's also the camaraderie that team had with the connection that team had with the fans, and why they are so, still beloved in this town this many years later. Plus the fact is from 1980 to 83 to into mid 80s, they were a really good team, and then they started to drop off.
Right.
And then they came back up in 93, and then they dropped off for a damn good long time until, 2006-07. You know what I mean? So that could be a reason that we also they were beloved because there was such a huge gap in between that they were the only bright spot that we had. But again, I think to call Bryce Harper a loser, in my eyes, is a bit much.
So he gets thrown out of the baseball game in the first inning because he argues in balls and strikes.
The first inning,
not the 8th inning or the 9th inning, but the first.
It was a hot.
But what was Bryce Harper at that moment thinking about? What was Bryce Harper at that moment thinking about? The team or Bryce Harper? What was he thinking about?
Probably himself, but both.
Yeah, exactly. So to me, that's not leaders. And you can sugarcoat it all you want, and you can be like, well, he's a hothead and he's fighting for it. Nah, he would have done better if you stayed in the game and dealt with it. And then potentially we could have used him later in the game in a game-winning situation. But with the 8th or 9th inning, yeah, I can accept that 100%. But not in the first.
But also at the same time with that one, and I know you don't argue balls and strikes, and if he was, I'm not going to go back and forth. Meaning you've gone back and forth with this ad nauseum about if he was or wasn't out of line, or could we tell if he was out of line or what have you. But part of it is when he's asking questions, like I said, and he brings that information back to the dugout of this is what we're going to be getting from this guy today, guys. So when you're hitting, be prepared to swing below your knees because he's going to go low on the strike zone. And that guy, had like I said, I think it was a little bit of both. I think they were both a little bit of hothead in this situation. I think he came in, with what happened again. I think it was with San Fran when we played San Fran last. He came in and he had not a great ump outing, if you want to, whatever you want to call it. And both sides roasted him. And I think he kind of came in with a chip on his shoulder, knowing what the Phillies kind of roasted him last time. And he had a short fuse and threw out Bryce Harper a little too quickly in my eyes. Still, I'm not gonna get away with it and say that guy appropriately threw out Bryce Harper because
I don't think you appropriately throw out anybody, but because the whole situation leading up to someone's ejection is a bunch of inappropriate things. So
I mean, when I say appropriate, I'm saying when appropriate, I mean like because he deserved it wholeheartedly to be thrown out of a game.
I don't think anyone's ever been thrown out of a game that did not deserve it. I'm gonna die on that hill.
You also are a little biased. You're a little biased.
Richie MC says Bryce Harper's batting average in the NLCS last year was .217. He had 5 hits, 2 homers, 3 RBIs, and 7 runs scored in 7 games against Diamondbacks. Now, is that clutch? Now you're going to throw at me, well, so did the whole team kind of stink, and I agree. But is that what you're paying $330 million?
2023, they went cold after what was it, game 4 here?
But this is
But
Bryce
this is
Harper over
baseball.
7 games, though. I understand it, but we're talking about Mr. Clutch, right? This is your guy. This is your man
When
here.
somebody's clutch doesn't mean they hit every time. They're not batting 1,000 in every one of those
So what
moments.
the hell does clutch mean in baseball to you? Man, what does that mean?
My thing is nobody's clutch every freaking time. That's my point. Listen, Richie, what you're saying is true. He came up short in NLCS, and yes, I'm going to say a lot of other guys came up short in NLCS.
Of course,
and one of those guys was Topper. I think he came up the shortest. He should have been the one pulling guys on the side. Stop swinging for the goddamn fences and get out there and just get the ball in the field. And that should have been what was happening. Again, that wasn't his greatest moment. And if it was, we would probably be possibly talking about another World Series trip, if not hopefully a ring from 2023. But it didn't happen that way. But to sit here and say he sucks and he isn't clutch at times, because nobody's clutch 24/7. It just doesn't happen that way, especially in baseball. So again, if he came in and he had a 300 batting average, that means he's clutch 30% of the time.
Yeah, I'm not. See again.
Al umps are coming, or is it AI umps?
I don't know. I think he means AI umps.
I know.
And
I know.
he says it's time to do away with umps calling balls and strikes. Oh, this is from Rick. Rick, is this the same guy? No, this is from Rick. It's time to do away with umps calling balls and strikes. It's an antiquated method. The technology that tennis uses is incredibly accurate. Doesn't hold grudges, doesn't have bad eye, keeps umps at home. Call plays. This would be a disaster.
But there's still a human factor in that, might I add.
It would be a disaster if to have full time. And first of all, you're looking at tennis that's played in a straight line with straight lines. The baseball diamond or the home plate is not a straight line. It's a 3D octagonal pentagonal shape. I mean, there is no technology that will show that right now.
Well,
and
just say that there's no technology, but my point is, I would be okay if they give them the challenge flag or whatever you want to call it, and they get to use that for one of the bad calls.
Yeah, so
I would agree with that
in the minor leagues. So in double, and triple, and single A, they're doing that.
I'm not saying get rid of umps 100%. Like we're just they think the robot from the Jetsons is sitting, Rosie is sitting behind them, calling balls and strikes.
Strike. No, it's not going to be that. Robo ump, right? And Al's right. The robo ump that they're testing is a lot like the challenge system. Each player will receive one challenge at a bat. They can challenge one.
Is it per bat or per game?
It's per bat until you lose it. If you challenge, you win, you carry the challenge over. But as soon as you challenge and you lose, you don't get another challenge for the rest of the game. Yeah, that's it. It's one challenge per game. Well, not one challenge per game. It's one unsuccessful challenge per game. I feel like that could, we went from shortening the games with the pitch clock. Would that, don't you think that would start extending the game? Maybe analytically it might, but it actually would probably extend the game at the most awesome points late in the game, where it could come down to a 9th inning call. I'm going to hold on to my challenge, make sure it's, you know what I'm saying? It might make it better. It may prolong the fun. I don't know, but that's what they're working on in the minor leagues. Now, the problem with bringing it to Major League Baseball is all CBA related. The players union is not necessarily on it, and the umpires union they're still trying to work some things out. But to think that, as you said, Rosie from the Jetsons is going to replace the umpire behind the plate.
Showed our age, by the way, with that comment.
Well, maybe I see 3PO is more.
Well, that's not much. I think it's probably older than the Jetson. I don't know.
I don't know what robot we could talk about, but to think that some sort of robot is going to be back there calling balls and strikes. Maybe it will happen someday, but I'll be long dead when that happens. So
you got Optimus Prime. You should get like Optimus Prime voice changer for get people used to that when you're umping. But I'm gonna let you go. I've hijacked the show enough. I just had to put my 2 cents in. Guys, enjoy the rest of the show, because I'm gonna be listening for all the hockey love we're about to get.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I got things to do. I mean, I'm going to recap what I got to do with the hockey. Yeah, there's a lot of hockey questions here. So yeah, let's get to that. Al, thanks for coming on, man. All right, that was Big Al. It's Big Al from EOP. So listen, we are way beyond time. So let me get back on track. Let me sum up what I want to say about Bryce Harper, though. As I said, I'm not sitting here telling you that Bryce Harper, that we are not better off for having Bryce Harper, but to put him in some sort of stratosphere with the greats of baseball. Yeah, I'm just not feeling it right now. And maybe that'll change, and it will change for me if he wins a ring. It definitely will. Jimmy Rollins, to me, was is he a top 20 shortstop of all time? Probably not, but he's got that ring. He's got that ring. He's got that cachet, and it elevates his status to me, and that's just the way it is. That's the way I think it is. But let's get into some of the hockey stuff here. Rick is talking about Fedotov. Yeah, he's going to be a Flyer goalie for a little while. Where he may actually be now, he could be Sam Erson's backup potentially next year. More, because again, Cal Peterson's going to be floating around somewhere. Yeah, I don't know if the Flyers are going to go with an Erson Fedotov tandem. I don't know. We'll see. Would I be upset about it? No, because again, we're starting over from the goalie drawing board. So yeah, Fedotov will be a Flyer to sign that contract this summer, and then Bobrovsky, Fedotov. What's this guy talking about? Is it me or Al you're talking about? Because we both were kind of going off on tangents. We needed to put Kimbrel in back-to-back games. Yeah, we did not need to do that. Wheeler signed a 3-year extension, same thing, 3 years, whatever the hell. You got my point, man. Richie says, will Trey Turner live up to his contract? And you know what? As of this year, he started to live up to it. And then, of course, he gets hurt. So I think so. I was a big advocate of bringing Trey Turner here, and I still will stay on that hip. Listen, guys, let's bust away from these comments for a second and let me mention another one of our great sponsors here, Sherry's Tickets. That's right, Sherry's Tickets Town for great prices, no hidden fees. www.sherrystickets.com. Save 10% when you enter the promo code EOP10. That's at Sherry's Tickets. Head over there. What you see is what you pay. So yeah, head over to Sherry's Tickets. But all right, so I'm not gonna have time to get into what I wanted to do with the draft. I was gonna run the simulator, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to kind of talk to you a little bit about where I think the Flyers will fall for round 3. Of course, let's remind everybody at home who's playing. The Flyers are picking. So far, we've gone over the first and second round of these drafts. I got the Flyers taking with their 12th overall pick, Caden Lindstrom. He's the centerman. I think he's definitely going to. The Flyers are devoid of any kind of center depth on this team and this organization, actually. And I think Caden Lindstrom will be, the guy at 12, and if he's there at 12, there's some conflicting stuff going on about him and Berkeley Catton. One of them's, I've seen mock drafts with these guys being selected all over the place to include 12. So we'll see where they fall. But if the Flyers are not able to get Caden Lindstrom, I think they should go for Tidge Ogilna, another centerman, Jerome Ogilna's son. If he can slide behind the Flames, who are picking 9th overall, and they don't take a legacy pick there, I would hope that the Flyers would be able to select Ogilna with the 12th overall pick if Lindstrom's not on the board. For the 30th overall pick, where right now that could be 31 or 32 with the Panthers making their drive for the Cup, I like the Flyers taking either Tanner Howell, the left wing, or Turek Parasik. He's a right winger. And Parasik's a little bit of a bigger kid. He's over 6 foot tall. Again, we're devoid of some talent in right wing. Mitchkov, he's coming. He's going to be a different type of right wing for the Flyers. But Parasik, I think, would be more of a compliment to what Lindstrom could be as a centerman. And then Tanner Howell's a little bit more of a smaller player, kind of comparable in size and playing style to that of Travis Konechny. So that brings us to the 3rd round. Now, there's a couple players in the 3rd round that interest me. 3 of them, actually. And the Flyers only have, they have 2 picks in the 3rd round. And they have a 36. No, I'm sorry, they have 2 picks, 51 and 77. Right? Yeah, 2nd round, 36. They have 51 and 77. So I think with pick 51, because, yeah. Yeah. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. They have 1 pick in the 3rd round, and that's 51. There's 3 potential possibilities. Alex Kelbar, he's a right-handed defenseman, 6'2", 207 pounds, bigger kid. Not necessarily your more offensive defenseman, but I think he would definitely fit the need, on the right-hand side of your blue line. Another compliment to what Drysdale brings. And then you got Colton Roberts, who's also a right-handed defenseman. He's also 6'1", 200 plus pounds. Both kind of built in the same sort of ilk. As some girth to that blue line on the right-hand side. So that's where I'm kind of going with them. So I like Kelbar or Roberts there with the 1 pick that the Flyers have in the 3rd round. Both of them are right-handed defensemen. Both of them are bigger right-handed defensemen, not necessarily offensive defensemen. Then that will take us to the 4th round, which the Flyers have no picks. And then they go to the 5th round, which they have 2 picks, which we'll talk next week. I don't want to give away the secrets now. We've gone well over time, but I'm glad I was able to kind of come on here. And I want to thank Al for showing up, man. Giving me his crap homer stuff about Bryce Harper, man. Not buying it, not for a minute now. Let's run down some of the end of these comments here. Star Wars says, Trey earned it this year. Yeah, I agree. I think he started a good year. Castellanos can't hit. He's actually been hitting a little bit better, and he's a loser. Castellanos is a loser. Listen, the word loser is not, I don't mean it to be offensive. I really don't. You haven't won. What are you? You're a loser. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. Bryce Harper has not won a ring. And until then, it is what it is. And then Richie says, before the shift was outlawed, Bryce rarely attempted to hit the opposite way. Yeah, that's a very good point, Richie. It's an extremely good point. Bryce Harper is like Joel Embiid. He has come up small in the end so far. Yeah, I mean, to Al's point, 2 trips to the deep postseason in 22 and 23. Where was Bryce Harper? In both the World Series in 22 and in 23 in the NLCS. So, yeah, I mean, absolutely. Absolutely. So, listen, that was a really good night of conversation. I appreciate everybody for joining us. Let me head back over here and talk a little bit more about some more of the great sponsors here on the Edge of Philly Sports. Like Dolan's at 24 East Sellers Ave in Ridley Park, PA for great times, Quizzo, memorabilia, and giveaways. Head on down, see Dolan and the crew, or PJ and the crew at Dolan's, 24 East Sellers Ave in Ridley Park. And for some god-awful reason, I don't have any Philly Sports Strips stuff here. Why is that? Why don't I have any Philly Sports Strips? I don't. But head over to Philly Sports Strips if you want to travel as pros. If you want to travel like like-minded individuals, if you want to go out and support your team on the road in hostile enemy territory, then look for no further than Philly Sports Strips at phillysportstrips.com, because they will set you up for the fan experience of a lifetime. Trips to Baltimore, Boston, Chicago, Pittsburgh, London, and then, of course, the Eagles schedule that's about to drop, or it has dropped, and then I'm sure their schedule is going to drop here soon about how they will support it. So head over to phillysportstrips.com today. Tell them that the boys over at EOP sent you. And then my last thing for tonight, and we're going to move on because I got to go to bed. I still owe you this. I still owe a deep dive into the 2024 Eagles schedule, which I'll get to next week. Maybe me and Jim Jackson will do it, because Jim will be back with me next week. And maybe he'll spend some time and we'll talk Eagles schedule. We talked a little bit about the Eagles last time he was on. And then don't forget, June 28th, coming real soon, is the Edge of Philly Sports and Clear the Ice. That's right. We'll be coming back and covering the first round of the NHL draft. So hopefully some of my predictions come true and we can see some of the stars up tomorrow on that day for the Flyers. So make sure you're tuned in for more information about that. From the bottom of my heart, everybody, I want to thank everybody for coming out this late night. And remember, we are going to be coming at you pretty much at 10:30. We will be back at 8 o'clock next week, but then back to 10:30 after that and going forward into the summer. So MattyB is taking you into the late nights. They've officially exiled me to the other side of the night. So it's great to be here. But until we talk again next week, that is the news, and I'm out of here.